ருசிக பரலோக சுவையின்ப இயேசுவே என் வாழ்வின் திவ்யமிர்தமே இன்னும் இன்னும் வேண்டும் என்று கெஞ்சுதே உள்ளமே உன் நினைவால் என் இதயம் ஏங்குதே வல்லாய்.
A very good evening to all of you. We welcome all the viewers and subscribers of Milky TV and especially viewers of a special book review program called Pen, Mic and Swords. So today is our 13th episode. God has been gracious to us that we were able to complete the book reviews of 12 books in 12 different episodes and we had covered variety of books. And today's book is also a very special book. And the title of the book goes like that: 7 Days That Divide the World by John C. Lennox. So everyone knows about John C. Lennox. He takes controversial topics and he makes it easier for us. And somehow or other, scientific views would be definitely in his book. So in this book, we all know that the Genesis first chapter is a great chapter of a contentious bone for everyone, for both Christians, theologians, and secular people, atheists, and everyone had a lot of questions and doubts regarding Genesis first chapter, that how did God created all these things, and whether it happened in 7 days or it went for billions of years, and how God created such a vast universe. So there are a lot of questions in that. So what he has done in this book is he has made sure that we don't ever lose our faith in God or in the scriptures. But at the same time, we also don't want to totally neglect scientific views. So let us see how he has balanced both of these views in this book. And so the book would be presented by Brother Joseph Yesudian. So before this program, I used to do another book review program, and Joseph had been a regular book reviewer. He's an IT professional, and in spite of his busy schedule of work, he has taken the time and he has come to review this book for us. And Joseph is from Mumbai. So without much delay, I would like to give the podium to Joseph, and I invite Joseph. Welcome, Joseph. Welcome back after a long time. And I also welcome Jemima and Sister Sangeetha as our panelist of today. So Joseph, please, the stage is yours. Please present the book.
Thank you. I think I'm audible. So yeah, thanks, Jemima. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Again, I'll tell every time when I come to this platform, every time I say this, that if there is anyone who pushes us to take these things, to read certain things and then come and present it, then that credit should definitely go to Jemima for her consistent, persistent effort. We are in between so many things, but I think if one person who does not fails to follows up, and then who does not get, who follows up with patience, because that is more important, is what I believe. And then thank you, Jemima, for giving me this opportunity, and then thank you for the other people as well, the Aya, and as well as Sangeetha, who is there on the call. And the book that I had chosen to review is The 7 Days That Divide the World. I thought the book would be something interesting. Obviously, the book was interesting, but at the same time, the book was very difficult as well for me to go and understand certain things of the way that the things are written and the way the things are put forth in that. So yeah, but it is quite interesting. And as Jemima has already said, the author of the book is John Carson Lennox. So John Carson Lennox is one of the so when I went through about the author, obviously he's one of the very great author who is not only author, he's a mathematician as well. He is a bioethicist, he is a Christian apologist, and I think he is one among the persons who has always tried to explain the biblical things with science, or say explain science with Bible. So both ways. And then he was one of the scientists who used to proudly say that, okay, fine, I believe in scriptures, and then I believe in Bible, because as a scientist it is very difficult nowadays if they will claim anything from the Bible, or anything that is written in the Bible, and then even forget about the scientist, even in our schools as well, when theory of evolution was taught to us and other things were taught to us. And at that point of time, if you quote anything from the Bible, people will look at as if we don't even know the basics of this, and like they will look, they will. It's very easy in the world today to look at people and then make comments and statements saying that these guys are not logical, these guys are not scientific, these guys don't make logical, they just simply follow a book, is the general perception, and that is there in the world right now. I think for us, when it is such a case, it would have been a very tough or difficult challenge for such author like John Lennox, who is a who writes book, who has gone into debates with say the other atheists, like some famous public atheists we know. One is Richard Dawkins, another is Christopher Hitchens. So he has gone on public debates as well. So he's the one who is writing this book. And as Jamaica said, so there are a lot of things, a lot of controversies in this, a lot of things being spoken about, a lot of confusions also about that 7 days that divided the world, or the first 7 days of creation. Because primarily why I believe is that because everything is put in a very simple format, and everything is put in just one single chapter, and then the entire world is there sitting just to go and understand that one single chapter of what would have happened, how it would have happened, and trying to relate things, and then trying to see the things which is there, which is surrounding us, and then looking at scriptures, and then people getting confused, and then not understanding, and then out of it so many things arise. Out of confusion, so many wrong theories come. Out of confusion, so many assumptions come. And out of confusion, a lot of them actually come up with right theories, but they are still being criticized. So I think a lot of confusions, a lot of theories, a lot of arguments around this 7 days of the world, or around, say, the creation, mainly happens because of the simplicity and the limited information that is given to us. So that is one of the very nature which I feel. And then Lennox writes is that the author writes, since God is the author of both the word, the Bible, and of the universe, so there must be some harmony between, say, the correct interpretation of the biblical data as well as the correct interpretation of scientific data. Because he says that God is the author of both. He is the one who has written the Bible, and he is the one who has also created the science as well. So one interesting thing which I have like gone through, wherein he said how God is the one. He says God is the one who has initiated the science, because he is the one who told Adam to, when it comes to human, obviously when it comes to human understanding, or when it comes to something given to human. So he is the one who first told Adam, saying that "Ki, you have to go and then name all the animals." So in scientific terms, now that is something called as taxonomy, wherein like you go and then wherein like you go and you give different name to different animals, you identify what are the creatures and all. So I think God is the one who has started this thing. And so I think this is one thing which is like so wherein like the author says that God is the author of both. So it is very essential for us to rightly interpret the Bible as well as the rightly interpret the science. Because if you miss any of these things, either will be confusing. You will feel either the Bible is wrong, or you will feel either the science is wrong. So that is one thing. And then the topics of the books are like, if you read the topics of the book, it will be very interesting. The first chapter is called as "But Does It Move?" is the topic. I mean, is the title of that particular chapter. So when it says "But does it move?" it all talks about the earth. It all talks about the earth. And then it will come, but is it old? It will talk about what is the timelines of the creation. And then next it will talk about the human creation as well, human beings, how they are special. So all these things he has recorded here. And then obviously the overall tone of the book will be like the author will try to put uh, will try to pick scriptural examples from Bible, or the author has also quoted the scriptures wherein which has using which there were a lot of confusions. And the author has also used different characters or different people who had introduced different theories, and how it was perceived and how it has to be perceived. So this is the overall way the book is structured. And then one thing is very clear: the book does not give a very, I would say, a very deep or very strong understanding, or very clear understanding of, or I would say clear demarcation of, okay, fine, this is because of science, this is because of Bible. No, he also tries to bring so many things from the Bible and then tries to place a point saying that okay, fine, because of these reasons, now God stands at a better point to explain all these things rather than science, or say God can do more justice to this rather than science. So that is one thing. And the first chapter, if you talk about, but does it move? So this entire chapter is all about the theory which revolves around whether the Earth is in center or whether the Earth is moving. So I think this was one of the long going. I mean, this is one of the arguments or the discussion which was long going centuries, wherein we know Aristotle, who believed that Earth is at the center, and believed that, well, this was believed for centuries, because we had biblical verses for that as well. We know in First Sam 2:8, or in Psalms 100 and Psalms 93 as well, where it is written that the world is established and it shall never be moved. Bible also says that the sun moves, the sun rises up, and the suns go and the sun go down, which gives which so because of which there were a lot of interpretations about this passage, saying that the earth is fixed and everything else is revolving. The sun, stars, everything is revolving around the earth, but the earth itself is revolving is something which came up later. So what the author is telling, what the author said is that these are all the biblical scriptures which were primarily used, or probably as an assumptions. So that is one thing. And next one is that when some people like Galileo or Copernicus came, when they came up with a certain ideologies, or certain theories, to say that, the earth is not standing, the earth is also rotating, and while the sun is there and the earth is rotating, he was like very greatly condemned. And they were, because during that time we had Roman Catholics dominating the entire governance. So it also became very difficult for them to go and then bring this argument out and then say that, okay, fine, now this is something wherein they had to suffer a lot of backlash. To this extent, even the book says, even Martin Luther, or he also gave some negative reaction when people came up with certain things. He also spoke in one of his meetings, wherein like he said how it is possible, how this is not possible. So, but even when later when Galileo came, and then a lot of scientific inventions came, then today we come to know that, okay, fine, the Earth is also rotating, and then the overall there are other, along with Earth, there are other planets which are also rotating, and then around the sun. So this is what we have come to now after a lot of say scientific experiments and understanding. But again, now the question is now whether the Bible is wrong or not. So the author says that the Bible is not wrong. The thing that we have to understand, he says, is to understand the language of the Bible, because what the author says is that the Bible, in Bible, things are used or said in a metamorphical form. So Bible is written in such a way that what is visible, how it can be explained. Say Bible is not a scientific book wherein like it is given it is it will give a very scientific explanation of how this orbit revolves, or how this particular earth is created, or what are the materials that inside the earth. So Bible is not a book. Bible is written, it is a book. It is inspired and it is written by Holy Spirit, so that everyone can understand it, so that it will help generations to understand and have a summary of it, or probably an outcome of what we can see, rather than going into the intricate details of it. So so Bible is not such a book. So the problem comes there. So when the Bible says that the Lord had laid its foundation and the foundation cannot be shaken, so that does not mean the foundation of, say, they have placed any concrete foundations of the foundations of, say, we know the moment when, say, foundations and all, we speak, the only thing that comes to our mind is the concrete buildings, the foundations that is there. So the author says that this is the language that the Bible has used. So it is very important for us to understand that, and then so that we know, okay, fine, because we also know that uh, in Bible, when Jesus says that I am the door, I am the bread of the life. Now this really doesn't mean that he is the door, he is the literal door. Now this does not really mean that he's a bread. Similarly, I also still remember when it's like when Jesus says, "Keep I'm so unless and until you don't partake in me, like so you don't have any." So it's like you have to eat my flesh and you have to drink my blood. So when that term comes as a generic statement to the outside world, so it will be like very harshly criticized of how can how can God, how can Jesus tell like this? So I think what Bible wants to convey and what is the language that is used is very important to understand. And then it is very important for us to understand. Then it is very important for us to go back to science and then try to relate this thing is what the author wants to say. That we cannot, because since centuries people believe that, or there is there is a mindset outside also that people expect that Bible should give answer to each and everything. I mean, so Bible gives the overall outcome that this is how it is created, but what goes behind, what is the, how did God lay his foundation, what are the things that went behind the creation. So all these things are not actually recorded there. And then the author says that if you go and write all this, then it won't be a Bible, it will be then some other book, wherein like you if you are in a science, if I'm say if I now I'm from a science background, so it's like if I know, if I want to understand any one particular reaction, then we have a particular chemistry book wherein all the chemical reactions and everything is written. So that's a book which will have its own composition. So that's how is it. So the next thing that comes is, so one is this, so where how is earth rotating and all. So the next argument that comes, so first two chapters cover this, the thing which I have told you mainly covers the first two chapters. The third chapter that comes is now how old is earth. Now, and how old is earth when it comes, so now there are different, again now there are again different theories. Now some of them tell, so this mainly the author has divided this into, I would say, three different models. One is called as young earth model, wherein like there are some set of people who will say, okay, since we have a day of 24 hours and then 7 week, and then basis that they say that the earth is only 6,000 years old. And now then some of the scientific, and then now that is one thing. Now the second model which the author proposes is called as a day age view. So that is one thing. And then the third one is called as framework view. So these are the three views which we obviously author has presented. So one is like, now the main argument here is whether the earth is recent young earth or whether it is an ancient old earth, because a lot of science and then scientific experiment says that the earth is 1 billion years old, versus what other people say that when they say ki if we calculate as per what God has said, it should be matlab 6,000 years old. Wherein the author then finally clearly says, now now so the thing is like there are a lot of technical terms and I will try to simplify here. One is that one primary framework, the third category, which is called as the framework view, which the author has used. Now the framework view is something wherein like the author categorically explains. Now he says that, say so what he wants to convey, that when God said that, okay, now on day one this is created, on day two this is created, on day three this is created. So some of them literally say, think that okay fine, now it was only created within 24 hours, wherein we have Bible scriptures which says that, yeah, a day in a Bible is so 1,000 years for God. So it's like, so that's the thing. So it's like there are also arguments which says that okay fine, when God created, it was a gradual process. Obviously it was created, but it was a gradual process that went through a particular time, because time also birthed during that particular phase. So that is one thing. But in order to simplify this, what the author has suggested was, just to explain, say if we have a scenario wherein a building is constructed. Now if you ask a particular construction engineer about how do you construct a particular building, now that construction engineer will say, first we will put this concrete, we will lay this foundation, we will do this, and we will close this, and then we will use this architecture, and then we will close this level, and then we will build different floors, and then say first floor, second floor, third floor, or so whatever it is. So this is how the language of a particular say a builder would be. So the builder would most likely explain the in a chronological fashion, say by floor, or say by description by description. It starts from the and it end from and it ends here. If you will ask the same thing to a surgeon, so if you'll ask the same thing to a doctor, how this building is constructed, so the doctor will only say that this building is categorically constructed, and say he will say that the third floor is for this department, the first floor is for this department, and then the second floor is for this department, he will say, rather than going into the very intricate details. So he says ki, so that's what the author wants to say is, you cannot expect, when God said that, on say, on first day it was created, second day it was created, third day it was created. Now you cannot literally go and then make it say, okay, now this was only within that particular 24 hours, or this was within only within this particular time limit that God has created. So 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 the argument which author wants to support is that obviously the earth is ancient. The earth cannot be a very young earth. On one side he supports that, on the other side he also says that uh, the thing that has to be viewed is from this perspective, that when a particular statement is written, it is not so, you cannot actually go back and then view it from the chronological fashion. Rather, you have to look at it as categorically, that this is the first thing that God has done, this is the second thing that God has done, this is the third thing that God has done. So this is one of the framework which the author has suggested. And then the next chapter comes as human beings, a special creation. This is one of the chapter wherein the author primarily says how, say, God created human, and then he also speaks about the God creating both man and woman, and then the sanctification of marriage and everything. So here he all speaks that why human being is a special creation, because when God created human, so it's like on the so Bible says that on day 6, when God speaks more than once. The first time God says, let us bring forth earth into matlab, let us bring forth different living creatures into the earth. And then God says, let us bring man also into the earth. So the book says that a specific importance has been given to man, because man is also obviously been created in the image and the likeness of God. And then it says, and then a lot of arguments also comes into the scriptures, wherein like there are things which are talked about the death as well. So when did the death start from, and what did Paul said? And then because Paul said the from the first man came the death, and then to all the creation. And similarly, how when Jesus Christ came, and all these things were removed. So that is one thing. And then eventually what he wanted to tell was how important the creation of human being is. And then he said, he also brings in a lot of theories, wherein um, wherein those theories, wherein like he says, in today's world, instead of understanding this thing of how God created, I mean, like human, now the world is going behind to reduce the difference between a human and an animal, or probably a human and a machine. Wherein a lot of theories and a lot of fight is going between uh, to prove that animals and humans are same, or probably animals and machines are same, or probably animals and the other creatures are similar. But he says no, this is not possible, because of the importance that God has created, given to for say for creation of man. And then also the book brings about the other things as well, of say the things related to death. And then obviously some things related to the animal death as well. Now there are certain areas of the book which I found it difficult to understand. Probably I think if I would read it once again, probably I will understand those things, because of the usage of the terms, and then the intention which author wants to convey. So that is one thing. And then apart from that, the last chapter that the book closes is with this is the message of Genesis 1. So what is the overall message that the author wants to convey in that? So that is the chapter, fifth chapter. And then there is a lot of appendix. If you will go into this that particular chapter, there are a lot of appendix. Now half of the book will be appendix, is what I would say. There is some brief background to Genesis. A cosmic temple view is there now, and then two accounts of creation. Now theist evolution versus and the god of gaps. So now there are certain things which in like I couldn't understand much of it, or probably I couldn't read the appendix part. I have not read completely. It's like I've just gone through some of it, wherein things from Hebrew scriptures are taken, and then certain things are explained. But the overall Genesis, the message of Genesis, that is the chapter 5, wherein the author wants to say that uh, that Genesis is the foundation of the rest of the Bible, because it lays down the very basic Bible view. And then again, since God exists, he says, matlab, the author says that things has to be viewed from God's angle, because since God exists, God is a creator, and then there are certain things, since how God is personal, how God is a fellowship, how God has a goal while he created, now how God creates by his word, how God is a source of light, how God is distinct from his creation. So these topics are written in small portions, and then what he wanted to tell us, like, God exists and things starts from God, wherein the world, the atheist, or the other set of arguments that's they start, so they will start from universe, instead of starting from God. So also I have also, like, the author has given certain examples wherein, like, the author says that it is very easy. So when God said, let there be light, or when God just spoke, the other world, or the worldly people, or say the other theorists or the other people, they will only, the only thing that will come into their mind is someone speaking. When God said means someone speaking. It is not, and the author says God, so that itself is a fundamental problem, wherein, like, we tend to think that when God spoke means he would have just spoken, opening his mouth and then said. But he said, God has different ways of communicating. Because God is a spirit, he has a different ways of communicating. He has a different ways of speaking. And then how this author says that even for a very immature believer, or say a very new one, or say the one who has very less understanding of God has even a different ways, or say different language to speak to that particular individual as well, and not necessarily use the God language, or not necessarily use the human language, or not necessarily use the way, the language that human think are okay, fine, this is very important, or say this is how it has to be communicated. So the author says that the fundamental thing that goes in that entire Genesis chapter 1 is God telling, okay, fine. God said, let there be this, let there be this, let there be this. And then the entire world is stuck into that. If he said, means he would have said only, he would have spoken only through mouth. And then that is the only view that they have. But he says, no, it is much more than that. God speaks through different ways. God sees a spirit. He has different ways of communicating. He has different communication channels to communicate. So that's the reason he has placed God into that position where he's like, God is the eternal creator, and from him you have, matlab, everything starts, and from him, since creation came from him, God is also personal. And then and then God has a goal in the creation. God has created by his word, and God is the source of light. So this is how the author eventually closed that particular chapter, or say probably I would say close that particular book as well. um, the So now this book is not, I told you in the start as well, the book is not something which gives us a clear end to end, or say um, what's the explanation of the first 7 days, but it eventually helps us to understand of the language of God, or probably the language of scriptures, or how to relate. So it's like, here in this book you won't find a very all the scriptural evidences and then the biblical verses. No, this book does not gives us that. This book gives us the overall idea of what is how we can see this, what is the language that Bible uses, and then what eventually the Bible wants to convey. And then over years, science has eventually uh, grown to a very great extent, wherein, like, uh, it has proved many theories from the Bible. So he says it is not so we should not so it's like we should not go into the another extreme or another tangent, wherein we will say that, okay, fine, now science has grown to this, science is telling us this, and hence now we will not look at the Bible. He's like, no, you cannot do that, because that's the same author, the author who has initiated science has also created the Bible as well. So both has to be seen, and then both has to complement each other. The only thing is, what the author still wants to say is that if you read something from the Bible, and if you see something different happening in the environment, let us not come to an immediate conclusion saying that, okay, fine, the Bible is wrong, or say the Bible does not have enough evidences. Is like, because the same argument also existed when the earlier people, like, as I told you, like we had people wherein, like, Galileo, Copernicus, Aristotle, they had different beliefs. So even after it took ages for people also to come and then understand, okay, fine, When Bible said the earth is fixed, does not mean that the earth is fixed in one position. It is again a metaphor. So that is what the author wants to tell. And the overall thing that author wants to say is that only the overall, the key line is that since God is author of both the word of the Bible and of the universe, so there must be a perfect harmony between the correct interpretation of the biblical data as well as the correct interpretation of the scientific data. So yeah, so that's it from my side, and I think I could do some small justice to this book. But yeah, as I said, this is one of the very difficult book for me till now to read and understand, because it has a lot of scientific things, and then the way that author has written. So I understand, and from the language of the book, that the author is not a normal author; he's a mathematician and a physicist and a bioethicist as well. So yeah, thanks to so over to you, Jemima. Thanks for the support.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. I know this is a very heavily loaded book, and usually heavily loaded books have many glossaries and many appendixes. More than the content of the book, the glossary and appendixes would be there, because I have seen many books like that. And when you are giving your review, you did mention like that. So yes, John C. Lennox is a great author, and I like this particular statement which you told, that God is the initiator of the universe and is also the initiator of the science. So it was something very different for me, because we have been always keeping science at one end and biblical scriptures at one end. But the fact is that the Bible has been written in different forms. It has been written in poetic form, it has been written in allegorical form. There are lots of figures of speech in that. So those who are doing or have done theology, they will really connect with it. So we need to understand the perspective of the Bible. So thank you, Joseph. So you told three main points which John C. Lennox brings out, whether this earth is a young earth or an ancient earth, and it tells about human beings created in the image of God, and about the earth and its rotational procedures. So thank you for your effort to read this book, and you try to simplify it for us, for people like us. So I'm not a science person, so you have simplified it in a very great way, and you have finished your review, I think, within half an hour. So that's a great thing. So thank you, Joseph. As always, your reviews and your commitment is great. And thank you. God bless you. So we have our panelists today. So first of all, I would like to call Paul Nyanakalanje, because his family is a family of science people. So he had once told me that his son's daughter-in-law, everyone are from science field, they are from medical field. So Aya would have many viewpoints regarding the content of this book. We might be having our own scriptural standing, or secular view might be different. So let's see what Aya want to say, how this book has been drafted, and about your review. Over to Aya, please.
When I was in the college, and some of them are highly qualified, and they joined, I mean, they studied with me. And what they said was the creation cannot be disproved, and even the scientists cannot disprove that it is created by God. This Big Bang theory is only a theory to fool the people. It is, but God created everything. And some of my friends who studied science, they how God created in a very such a wonderful way, and and it was in good order. For example, the I just say the first day, second day, third day, and all that it was written in Genesis, uh, and that order was not, I mean, cannot be disproved by science. I mean, so the creator is the Lord, and we can say that the Bible is also a book of science, and so many things are recorded in the book of Job. Uh, so the first day he said, "Let there be light." To create anything, there must be light. Light is the first thing that is needed. So the God said, "Let there be light," and and suddenly there was light, and God separated the light from the darkness and named them day and night. This happened the very first day. On the second day, God started to make a beautiful world. He divided the water from the air. Then the blue sky appeared. It's a firmament. It's written in firmament. And then the third day, God made dry land by gathering the waters into oceans and streams and rivers. He covered the plains, hills, and mountains with grass, flowers, vines, and trees, olives, apples, cherries, peaches, and berries grow on trees and bushes. So, third day, how he gathered the oceans into one place and then covered the plains with hills and mountains and like that. And the fourth day, God put something yellow, and around the sky it was the sun. In the evening, a glowing moon appeared, and many stars started the sky. That means sun, moon, and stars. So, on the fifth day, there were sounds everywhere. What God created this day? He made birds to fly in the air and fish to swim in the water. They were all size of men. They were all sizes, shapes, and colors. Whales, goldfish, bluebirds, geese, and ostriches were only a few of the many creatures he made. On the sixth day, cattle, creeping things, and other animals were seen. God made a house, horses, sheep, dogs, and cats, along with the lions, tigers, bears, and rabbits. So it is a wonderful birthday present for the very first man whom God also created that day. So on the seventh day, God rested. This is a story that we read in the Genesis first chapter. So, and the Russians wanted to make a change. Why we should have 7 days in a week? Why we should have a 24 hours in a day? So they were trying their level best to change a thing, but they could not do it. Why there is 30 days in a month or 31 days? Why there should be a 365 days and in a year? So they try to make they so that they can disprove the Bible, that disprove the creation, but they could not do it. And then the sun, all the planets are rotating the sun, and the sun, earth is rotating its axis at the same time rotating the sun. That's the science. So they try to calculate the day and night, and through the rotation of the earth, the speed is so high that we are unable to see the motion. So many times I flew in the aeroplane, and you cannot know whether the aeroplane is moving or not. The speed is so high, and you will not be able to sense it. Only yesterday I heard the sound from outside, and I had gone to many places, but that yesterday only there was such a small sound came from the outside. Otherwise, we will not know whether the plane is moving or not, unless and otherwise we see the clouds moving that. The same way that the speed of the rotation of the sun in its axis is so high that we will not be able to see it. That's why we are not moving here and there. So we are not oscillating. Uh, so it is, I don't know, I did not read the book, but whatever I have learned from other sources, that the creation it could not be disproved by any man in this world. Even Darwin tried to bring out that, the whole world is started from the unicellular animal, and then from monkey, man came, but now it's not happening. And then finally he repented, and he made sorry and made a statement, and I read the statement also, that he made a great damage to the Christian faith and to the world. So he has done so much research by doing that, saying that a man came from unicellular animal and then it is developed, and why is it not doing happening now? So it's thank you, brother, you have done a good job today. uh, Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you so much. Thank you for your wonderful views as usual. Aya always turns every viewer back to the Bible only. So that is the typical, I would say, signature view of Paul Nyanokalanjam Aya. Thank you for your wonderful views. And now we have Sister Sangeetha James. I think Sister was having some network issues. She was going in and coming out. But thanks to God that she is able to give feedback. Sister, please.
Sister Sankita, before you start, I want to say, turn your face towards the light so that your face can be seen. Otherwise, it is very dark.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah, thank you for giving me the
Turn it.
opportunity. I would like to say that a wonderful book has been presented by Joseph Yesudian, and what I would like to say is in this topic that God has created this earth very beautifully, and that is in the Bible. But there are many, according scientifically, there are many arguments like how the earth has been created, then how the Russians and all they follow the Julian calendar, and we are following the Gregorian calendar. Always the controversy is there. But what I would like to conclude is yeah, we God has created we will follow according to the Bible how it is there, and he will one point he said that human beings are being created in the image of God. So we will follow according to that only. We will we will put a trust on that, and though there will be many arguments will be there, but we will not give importance to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ka. Thank you so much. So yes, as Christian, as children of God, we at last we come to this conclusion only. So that's how things should be. So actually, in this creation, what we can see is we can see God's wisdom. So what God does is first He creates light. Actually, what science is telling is why they are always arguing with Christians regarding this Genesis first chapter is first sun, moon, and stars must have been created, and through that light only vegetation and photosynthesis, and that is how scientific procedures goes on. But God, He smashes everything. He creates the light means with His divine light, with His divine power. He creates light, and whatever sun, moon, and stars which we are seeing, they are just the receptacles of light. It is like a container. In a container, we can keep water, and it's just a thing to hold on. So in the same way, sun, moon, and stars, they don't have light on its own. But that is why God first created the light, and then on the coming days after vegetation only, God creates sun, moon, and stars. So that we should need to remember. Another thing is God didn't first made rain to come upon the earth. He made a mist to come out of the ground to make the ground fertile. So first, the entire earth, the water was fresh water. But as you know, fresh water it cannot be preserved things. Things will get rotten easily, and that is why God has made full of saline water throughout the world, throughout the earth. We can see only sea water everywhere because sea water saltiness and saltiness. So that is the wisdom of God. So what my take is regarding this book is the author has tried to balance both the things. But what I believe is whatever scientific inventions, discoveries, they have not created anything. So the Bible, we can call the Bible as a philosophical book. We can call the Bible as a book of wisdom. We can call the Bible as the psychological book. Can call the Bible as a scientific book. Whatever thing is needed for a human's wisdom is it contains inside the Bible. So there are a lot of things which has been mentioned in biblical verses, and out of these verses, they have created this verse as a theory, and then they tries to find out, and then they say eureka, we have found so and so. But already God has made it, already it is there in the Bible. They just discovered it. For example, there might be a small island in the world, and it might be uninhabitable, no one knows it, and one crusader or cruise person, he might go, and what he will say, he'll say that I have found that island. He cannot say that I have created this island because already the island is there. So that is how my take is regarding science. But yet we should go for such books and try to see there are some authors, they are trying to balance both of this so that we can have still more information, still more knowledge, and at last the Bible is the main book, and no book can come against the Bible, or no book can be above the Bible. So that's how our take should be. So thank you, Joseph, for bringing this book for review and taking your time. So I had given this book for Joseph some 2 to 3 months before. So in between, I used to think about Joseph. Joseph is so busy, don't know whether he has started to read the book. So today I remembered, I pinged him and he told, yes, Akka, I'm still doing it. Thank you, Joseph, before the deadline. You did a really very wonderful job. So whenever you get time, do please come to our platform and give more book reviews. Till then, God bless you. Thank you, Paul Yanakalanjamaya, for your wonderful views. And thank you, Sister Sangeetha James, for your views. Stay tuned to us. We'll come with another fresh new book in another new episode. Till then, God bless you all. Have a nice day. Bye. Bye.